Hey everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota, Zone 5A. Just going to do end of September walkthrough of the garden. We've had a nice little summer encore past couple weeks. It's been warm, more like the end of August than the end of September. Beautiful. I mean, 70s, the humidity went down, partly sunny. It's been absolutely gorgeous. We got that nice rain last week. Pretty much couldn't ask for a better end to September. So I've been doing a little shopping. This is what's left of my stash of sale perennials that I have left to plant. And then I got these couple of ferns over here that I will overwinter indoors. I just up-potted them. There's a bird's nest fern, and those are annuals, but I want to use them out in my containers next year, possibly. This is cool, aster. It looks like a blue mum. It's one of those poofy ones. Forget what it's called. Bayou blue aster, or bay if you're from Louisiana. I don't have the proper accent, but that's what my Louisiana family says. Not bayou, it's bay. So anyway, side note, so that'll go up front, but the blooms I'm enjoying. Otherwise, everything's looking great. Everything loved the rain last week. As I said, I just love these Rudbeckia mixes. I wish they weren't annual, but I am going to deadhead a few of those blooms. I do want to leave some to self-seed, but if I deadhead, they'll have a chance. Just depends on what the weather's like the next few weeks. That will encourage reblooming. Of course, we could get a frost or a freeze at any point. There's none in our forecast for the next 10 days, but we could get one imminently. So we'll see. I love this blue, what was it called? Skyrocket juniper. I think that's the variety I planted. I hope it gets enough sun here to do well. I'm thinking of getting one to plant behind the garage as well. And I love it with the red, well, blue and orange are like opposites on the color wheel, so they really set each other off. They accent each other well. But I've got these two coleus around it that really, really makes it look nice. And torchlight, if you're looking for a coleus that gets massive, that is one. Humongous, that is one plant, one single plant there, taking up all that space. Really love this area at the end of summer once all the annuals, and I fill in empty spaces with annuals, but once those get nice and big, they look so pretty. Poor Hanacalo, that grass, Japanese forest grass. Apparently my mouth doesn't work today pronouncing that word. This has just gotten so smashed down by the rain over the course of the summer and recently, so I don't think it'll pop back up, but that's okay. Still looks pretty. Maybe if I got in there and shook it, but I don't know if I want to bother with that. It is such pretty movement when it's up, though. This mum is blooming. This one almost died in a harsh winter. It's sort of marginally hardy to our zone. It was just sold as an annual mum in the store, but a lot of those can come back. They're sort of, just depends, I think, on your microclimate. That beautiful burgundy color, it was huge for a couple years, and then we got a harsh winter that almost killed it entirely, but a chunk of it survived. And then this one is another annual mum that I've been overwintering in a pot over winter, and I just planted it out this summer, finally. So who knows, that might not come back, but we'll see. My dogwood's getting kind of thin on the lower branches. It's dropped a lot of leaves. I don't see any signs of disease yet, but I haven't really gotten in there, so hopefully it's okay. The top still looks good. Just usually doesn't drop its leaves quite this early. So hopefully there's nothing going on. It has rooted, though. Next year I'm going to get in. There's a lot of branches. This is the type of shrub where wherever it touches the ground, it will root. So you can disconnect those branches and dig them up, and you've got extra shrubs. So I think I'll have to get in there and do that probably in the spring. Some of them I disconnected from the parent plant, the main shrub, in the spring, but didn't get around to digging them up. So they're like independent shrubs already. I love the Millennium Allium seed heads. They just look beautiful all year round. These do reseed for me all over the place. So they're fairly easy to dig out. You can't really pull them. You can pop them out pretty easily, the little seedlings. And they only stay right around these. They're not spreading all over the garden, so it's so worth it just to have this winter interest with this sticking up out of the snow and gathering snow. The ageratum still just looks stunning. And this Aguilera Sky Blue is a nice compact variety that's really have like densely flowering. It did get a little beat up by the rain, and then I just came through and weed whipped and chunked off a few of the overhanging branches. And of course, the firelight hydrangeas. I have to show these every round because they're just so beautiful this year, every year, but especially this year, since we got an early cold snap that turned the nice, not freezing or frost, but cool overnight temperatures like in the 40s. And that's what triggers the pink color on the panicle hydrangeas. This aster is pretty much entering full glory right now. There was another variety, Woods Blue is what I suspected it was, but I wasn't sure because it didn't have a tag. The blooms and the leaves and the habit look a lot like Woods Blue, but it gets huge. But you see differing accounts. You know, you go to one, the plant tag says it gets one size, and then you go to a different website and it says they get another size, so who knows. And really with any plant, it kind of depends on where it is. If a plant is really, really happy where it's placed, it's probably going to get bigger than what the tag says. So there was another variety, though, that I looked up that I thought it could be, not one of the woods kinds, but I forget what it is now. I'll have to go and look. I've been cutting back some of these cosmos. They're really getting wilt pretty bad, and you can see I want to get in here and cut out some of these big ones because they're all wilted down. They're not going to bloom, and then they just look really sloppy over here. So I don't know how many cosmos I'll let seed next year. Some are nice. I might buy some. Well, actually, I still have some seeds of the dwarf varieties. These three are all loaded up with flowers, though. Hopefully they don't wilt before then. And then I just have my hodgepodge of things trying to fill in space that I transplanted from elsewhere. And some zinnias. Now you can really see the queen lime red zinnias. Those queenie zinnias are just okay, in my opinion. The blooms are really pretty, but you get a lot of single blooms. And they're sort of mid-sized, too. Like if you're looking for a real tall zinnia, these aren't super tall, so you can't put them like in the back of a bed. They stay kind of medium height. So, I don't know. I've had better luck just direct seeding from mixed packets. I did pick up this coreopsis. I planted this here as well. So that'll be pretty next year. And then I transplanted a chunk of the Zagreb coreopsis that I had. That thing got huge. Enormous. My carrots, foliage looks beautiful. There are good sized carrots in here. I've taken a few of them to eat and cook with. But tasting them, they're just not nearly as sweet in the middle of the summer when the temperatures are still high. If you wait, like normally I do my big harvest in usually end of October after we've gotten a freeze or at least a deep, like a hard frost, a few of them. And they're so super sweet then. It just doesn't compare. Like I won't ever harvest them all in the middle of summer unless I need them for something or I have to because they just don't taste as good. So my recommendation is carrots. Just wait use them as needed here and there, but do your big harvest once the weather cools down. My friend came and we picked like a bunch of flowers from these marigolds in the middle because as you can see, they're blocking my path. So she's going to hopefully be able to dry them and make dye. She's got some crafting ideas for them. I already cut a few back, but I'm going to get in here and really cut them back because I can't get to my pepper planter that's kind of in the back there. And at night, the bumblebees fall asleep on the blooms and then sting me when I surprise them when I'm just walking through or trying to move a plant out of my way. So I needed to get those out of the way. But veggie garden just looks so cheerful. I just love mixing in so many flowers. And this year, I don't particularly like to grow a lot of things that have to eat fresh. Unless it's stuff that I eat every day. I grow shallots, zucchini, and peppers. I have a salad with those three things on, and lettuce, of course, pretty much every day of the week, probably 5 or 6 nights of the week. That's what I have for dinner is a huge salad loaded with peppers, zucchini, and then I use shallots instead of onions because they have that nice umami onion flavor without being hot, kind of spicy. So, and they don't give you onion breath. So I grow those. Otherwise, it's just too overwhelming. I work full time. Like the beans, I'm getting so tired of picking beans and trying to use those. I don't really want to take the time to do canning. I work Monday through Friday full time, and then the rest of the time I'm out here weeding, watering, tending to things, etc., harvesting. That I don't want to spend any of my precious free time in the kitchen canning stuff. That's just not worth it for me. So I did cucumbers or pickles for a few years, but even that is kind of like meh. So I think I'm just going to focus on growing some of the things that I eat fresh, but I'm going to scale down things that I don't use a lot and instead grow more storage items. I'm going to give another try at potatoes since the feral cats took care of the vole colony that lived in my yard, damaging everything I grew and the grass. That colony is no more. The feral cats have either reduced their numbers so much they don't cause damage or completely obliterated the voles. So anyway, they used to just steal my potatoes. It wasn't worth growing them. I'd go to harvest and there'd be hardly anything in there. And I'd have to find creative ways to keep the voles out. This little shade area is looking particularly nice right now. We've got the blooms, lots of wasps and bees and flies and all kinds of stuff on these Sun King Aurelia blooms. Oh, there's a bee checking out my camera. Oh, yeah, that's... Here, go over here. There's a flower. Go over there, bee. Go back to your flowers. There we go. It was hitching a ride on my camera. Little lime hydrangea, huge blooms, beautiful color. This one in particular, I may give away. I'm just debating whether I want to replace it. If I do that, I might actually play with positioning of some of these things a little bit more as well. But it just, you can see how it spreads open so much. The blooms are just so huge and get so heavy. I don't particularly like the look of that when it gets so massive. And I have instead a little quickfire. The ones that I have up front, those never splay open and they stay a little more petite and they can handle a lot of shade. The ones I have in the front yard are pretty much in full shade and they bloom beautifully. So, and I like on the little quickfire, it has really dark foliage and then red stems. But then those lacy blooms sort of, they're more open. They get big, but not huge and heavy. So they don't get weighed down by the rain quite so much. I think a firelight would be a little too big. I think it would take up too much space because those get a little bit bigger. These are probably about 6 feet tall and wide, and they were planted in 2020. So we'll see. I did plant, I don't remember what I showed. No, I think I planted this on Monday. I threw another, there's my shadow, hello. I threw another helenium in there. That one I think is the Salud Embers helenium. And then there's a red something helenium right next to it. I might move that over a little bit. Could be slightly crowded, but we'll see. And then where that canna is, I'm waiting for a particular Joe Pyeweed to go on sale. Hopefully I can get a good deal. The sedum is just so bulletproof for me, the Night Embers sedum. And I love it next to Anna's Magic Ball. These daylilies really quite reduced their size quite a lot. I mean, they were big and huge early on and while they were blooming, but they kind of had a shorter than normal bloom window. I think everything was just a little bit stressed after the hard winter we had last year and kind of drought all winter, no snow. And now they've really, I've been pulling out the browning leaves to keep them tidier looking, but the foliage canopy has gotten quite smaller. So we'll see what happens. And then I've got all the self-seeded echinacea from 2 plants that I originally had. But the sedum is looking gorgeous. We've got lemon jade over here. Pollinators love that. This one is huge, this Night Ember sedum. Kind of getting weighed down by this little lime hydrangea. This one is massive. That's like probably 7 feet. And then this is the other, I think I showed this last week, the other chunk of Coreopsis that I transplanted over here in front of the Noblesse yarrow, so I'll have to make sure I'm keeping that Noblesse yarrow staked up next year so it doesn't flop on top of the coreopsis. This coreopsis was over there where the helenium is now, but that's no longer the front edge of the garden bed, so it was just it would bloom and then get shaded out and kind of look like this the rest of the summer. So I think the front of the garden is a little bit more appropriate place where it can shine all summer long. We still have our beautiful drift rose, peach drift rose blooms. Here you can see kind of how they start with that beautiful peach and yellow, and then they kind of age out to that light pink polka dotted. Really pretty blooms. They're very fragrant as well. And this shrub, a couple years ago, it got nibbled all the way to nubs by rabbits over the winter. This year, rabbits nibbled some of it, and then they just left it alone. And I thought, interesting. I wonder if they found other food. Well, I think what happened was most of the branches died off in our cold winter. So I had to cut them way back. Like some of them are completely dead. Some I had to cut. The green was way far down, so I had to cut most of the branch off. So I think the branches just kind of died and dried up before the rabbits could get to them, so they didn't want them anymore. And I was a little bit worried, but it has bounced back beautifully. It's nice and big again. I love the glossy leaves. And then these pentas I just put in here once they went on clearance at garden centers. My zinnia Sahara salmon that I kind of pop in everywhere. I'm letting the cone flowers all go to seed, as you can see. So the finches can have some snacks. But this one is with the Sunseeker's salmon. Salmon? I think that's what it's called. Got some Gomphrena, some annual stuff. I've got two kinds kind of intermingling. This is Gomphrena Carmine, which is my favorite. And then this is the, what's the Proven Winners one? Fireworks is like the species version or the original version. And they did, it's right on the tip of my tongue, but the Proven Wieners Gomphrena. And the salvia. I've still got hummingbirds. I was watching hummingbirds, monarchs, bees. There was a big, huge queen bee on this earlier. This is the Rock and Play in the Blues. 2 plants is all that is. Just outstanding. If you watch Garden Answer, and I'm guessing most of you do because they're a huge channel and very influential. Of course, this is one of Laura's favorite. I couldn't find it for many years in the Twin Cities, and I started finding it a couple places and was very happy. So kind of had to hunt it down a little bit, but I was glad when that showed up. Let's see, anything new? I just showed my plant stash. And this like pink lemonade, I did give this kind of a light trim a few weeks ago. This is always an amazing performer for me. It's the Super Bells Pink Lemonade Calibrachoa. And the double smitten pink, the double Calibrachoa always seem to stay a little bit smaller for me, and that's true of this one as well, but that one hasn't done too bad. But definitely the pink lemonade is just big and gorgeous. Goldilocks Rocks Bidens, giving that nice bright gold. I like Bidens too because they don't tend to get real leggy. Like petunias, they don't need so much maintenance. This it still looks pretty sort of on the end. The ends where the fresh leaves are coming out, but it's getting real leggy, that sun patience. Same thing with this begonia. This begonia planter gets more sun, so that's getting kind of leggy now. A little bit tired looking. And this is a small container. I kind of stuffed them in there. This one's looking a little bit better, but man, he's getting tall. This one definitely gets a lot more shade. So I'm going to cut back. Hopefully this will be okay. This is First Blush Hosta, looking like it got real burned this year. I'm hoping it doesn't have a disease, but we'll see. And I see buds. I keep checking in over here every week. Stuck on the lilac. Buds on the toad lily. So soon we will have flowers, hopefully. But just your basic 4-pack impatiens look so pretty mixed in with the Pachysandra ground cover over here. I'm excited to see this meadow rue bloom next year. Hopefully that does well. That replaced that Atlantis hosta that I'm pretty sure had hosta virus X. So I got that one out of there. And then more snake root. It's pretty fluffy white blooms. Looks like a bottle cleaner. That's a beautiful plant. If I can score one of these on clearance, I'll plant another one of these up here. Maybe I would even get two. Right now they're still a little pricey. You know how that goes. If it's meant to be, you'll get it for dirt cheap. If not, you can live without it. That's kind of how I feel about that. This one looks more like a ghost fern than a painted fern, but I swear I planted all painted ferns. I know there are different varieties of painted ferns, but a lot of times they're just labeled pictum or just painted fern, and that's it. So still pretty though, and just I'm kind of amazed at how well they do with how much sun this area gets. Ever since the spruce tree came out, I expected those to burn, but they really have not minded at all. And then these beautiful Giardia started from seed down here. I'll be happy to see the pinkablu bloom next year. I like that it has kind of thicker leaves, that lungwort. Like a lot of you can see this is a chunk of raspberry splash, which I had here before, that I replaced, but I think it actually was a seedling. And how different, like these leaves are so much narrower. Pinkablu has some of the widest leaves I've seen yet. And I like that. I love the polka dots. Lungwort is one of my absolute favorite shade perennials. I would say probably ferns and lungwort. I can't pick favorite, but they're tops. Wouldn't be without them. Absolutely. And this planter's still doing great. I'm sure, like, if you were to look in the top of this hanging basket, it would look pretty leggy. This petunia is spreading all over the place, but because the top is kind of covered by other stuff, and it's a little below my eye level. I'm 5'10", but it's hanging pretty high. It just looks good still. So big fan of this. I love Lophos. I'll be growing that again. This is the Tiara Pink petunia, Supertunia. I also grew Tiara Blue in a container, and they both did great. So recommend those. Need to get in here and get some weeding done too. Rainbows and hosta, always a superstar. It had a clematis. One of the branches kind of climbed through it, which I just let go. But love that sort of watercolor paint-looking paintbrush leaf. I hope this thing makes it. I'm pretty sure this has wilt too. This is in the neighbor's yard. It's a red-berried elderberry, which is a native. It does have some healthy branches, but I think the verticillium wilt is really bad this last couple years. I did plant a betony here. This one is, a humelo, but it's like a sort of reddish lavender pink bloom or something like that. I haven't actually seen it bloom, but hopefully we will see that in the spring. We've got the little hosta corner here. This little coast-to-coast guy got lots of sun. That's looking pretty burned out. Hudson Bay back there, though, is really pretty, too. I like the huge leaves. And then this is a variegated Brunnera. When I bought several of those, there's one here and one on the other side of the bench, and they don't actually have any kind of specific name. It just says variegated Brunnera. You can see the flea beetles really like these, though. They do some damage. I don't have rabbits because of the feral cats. They sometimes eat things in the winter, I think when there's just no other food. So they chew on my shrubs. I'll have to protect my tree this year for sure. But yeah, rabbits aren't an issue for me. Never have been, and no deer at all. I think we've seen one deer. The first year we lived here in the middle of the winter, it was injured, which probably explains why it was in the middle of the city. In the Twin Cities, there's tons of parks and nature areas, biking, hiking, trails all over the place. We have like the most bike trails per capita of any state or something like that. So and of course, lots of lakes and rivers, as we are known for. So there are deer all over the Twin Cities, but in my little pocket neighborhood, maybe we're just tucked in too much between other urban areas that we just don't see them around here, so not in the yards anyway. GM foliage, this area is kind of messy. I need to work on this a little bit. I have been holding, I'm going to be up-potting some things. I had to move stuff off the table over here. But I'm going to try a bunch of different types of annuals over winter. Inside, I bought grow lights and a shelving unit off of Amazon and rigged up my own little grow light shelves last fall. So containers still looking fresh. Some stuff's getting a little tired, but really not bad at all, not for the end of September. Dahlias still looking gorgeous. I've been cutting tons of bouquets from these guys. The stems will get kind of heavy and droop, and so I just cut those blooms off and stick them in a vase. Oh, they're so pretty, and I love seeing them from the house. This is the perfect spot to grow these. It was such a good year for dahlias. I hope I can save some of the tubers. A little fall container. More dahlias. Next year I will not have a big dahlia patch here. I will be planting kind of in between so that the bird feeders are still accessible, but kind of under the window I'm going to be planting this hibiscus, this hardy hibiscus. So for a couple years I can probably plant dahlias or other things around it, but eventually it'll get big and fill in that space. And then I love this little googly-eyed happy chicken statue that I picked up by Swingers if you're local. Planted a poppy. I think it's like Queen Victoria or something. Poppy on clearance. And then the big huge salvia, Blue Victory salvia, that was over here taking up this entire, it was overlapping here, this chokeberry, going into the coleus over on that side, overlapping the hosta and the juniper. It was just a massive plant. And I didn't want to deal with it anymore, so I planted this another betony. This one is a pink one. It's kind of bubblegum or light pink blooms in here instead. And that way the bird feeder and everything back here is accessible as well for weeding. So that hosta will fill in and cover some of that space. But I want to be able to still walk through and get behind things against the garage. Limelight Prime Hydrangea, pretty raspberry color, not as vibrant as the Firelight, but still really pretty. Definitely darker than a regular Limelight or Little Lime Hydrangea. Got one late bloom here. I like when they have kind of a mix of bloom color. I've got more zinnias down there, some Diasia. I just tuck stuff in here. You can see the 4 o'clocks are still going. These might self-seed over here too. This is what the seeds look like. They're like little grenades and they drop. I have a ton of them that I've saved. They're really easy to start from seed. Oh no, I just noticed a bunch of branches on the coleus got knocked over. I know the cats have been in here, the feral ones that got re-released. In fact, one of them's been starting stuff with other cats. Super territorial. I was over here the other day and there was a couple times heard a big old fight. Nasty cat screeching. I was out on the porch with our cats and they like jumped up on the window ledge like, what's going on out there? All nosy. So, and what else did I do over here? Honeysuckle's still doing good. I got to stay on top of the aphids next year. I think over time it will really start to suffer. This sedum got knocked over all of a sudden, so I don't know if cats ran through there too. This one that previously got knocked over is not looking great. Probably clean those up soon. But this one's doing good. I might put rings around them next year. I don't know how big of the cat issue I'll have now that so many kittens are being adopted and other adults got spayed. I got borers again though, my big, huge, and they always hit as soon as it's in full bloom and just gorgeous. My Rudbeckia, you can kind of see that white dust. That is frass. where the borers bore in and all kind of their, oh, look at that guy. Geez, yeah, I'm going to have to hit these with BT as well. I'll have to be mindful of that. They got it last year, and I wasn't sure if it would return. They would return, but they did. So they bore into the stems, and it doesn't kill the plant, but it kills the flower stalks right when they're blooming. They bore into the middle of that. So lamb's ear patch kind of looks like it got some mildew. That was an issue this year because it was so rainy. I'm debating if I want to keep this kind or replace it with Helen von Stein. We'll see how they do in the back. I did plant a few more cone flowers over here. And then I got a helenium on clearance. And it kind of had a lot of dead on it. That's what's kind of in the middle back there with the one orange flower. And when I started cutting it away, I noticed like the new growth it looked like just new sprouts, but the new growth is actually really stunted branches. So I was worried that it could be aster yellows. But then when I took it out of the can to plant it, it had a lot of root rot, like it smelled kind of rotten. And I knocked away most of the soil with the roots. They were all black. I should have checked before I took it home. But so anyway, I'm hoping it will survive and that it doesn't have aster yellows. That was a bummer. At least it wasn't expensive because it was on clearance, but still. And of course the garden glow dogwood, like up to the roof again, despite my extremely hard pruning. Quite the plant. And my little chancha over here, statue, but I just love Autumn Frost Hosta. It is just such a great one. This one gets a lot of good shade. And the ligularia, these blooms actually, once they're dried, they're beautiful and they're just bright yellow blooms, but these seed heads actually look really pretty if you make, if you make a dried arrangement. And don't mind all the crap growing through the fence again. This is just exhausting to keep up with. But look at the turtle head. Isn't that cute? In full bloom. I kind of wonder if this one is Tiny Tortuga and the other one I bought on clearance is Hot Lips, because the other one looks much bigger in different form than this, but who knows? I guess we'll see once they're both mature. This geranium is just so gorgeous. I think I'm going to have to try and overwinter the root in a box or something, because I just can't let that go. That's one plant. Overwintered for a couple years now, but way too big for me to fit anywhere in my basement now. I really wish the Portulaca is so pretty, but I wish it bloomed, like the bloom stayed open and didn't close. It's middle of the day, they're gorgeous color, but and they close up in the evening and at night, early in the morning. It's like, well, I want blooms all the time. Yeah, all this stuff I'm going to attempt overwintering. Some of it I know will do great. I've overwintered before. Most of it will be an experiment. But if I can get things for like $2 now instead of $6, $7, $8, $9 even in the spring, it will be worth it. So not going to do a container tour today. We're done trapping the cats. Final count was 23 total. 15 of them were kittens. All the kittens will be adopted out, so they will go to homes. And the 8 adults were spayed or neutered and released back in the yards. So they're back in the colony. They all have the ear tip so that at a glance you can tell if they've been spayed or neutered. We're just going to keep feeding them along with the neighbor down the street that got in on the action too. So that's exciting. So hopefully we'll see far fewer litters, far fewer ferals in the neighborhood in general. This heliotrope is just so cute. I need to plant that in the ground next year. I've grown it in pots and it does great, but it does get kind of leggy for me in pots sometimes. I hope this lavender didn't bloom this year, but I love that icy foliage on this lavender. It says it's hardy in zone 5, which is what we are now. So fingers crossed. And this still has never bloomed. This is the second year I've grown this gold dust alyssum from seed. Really pretty, like foliage carpet, that kind of minty green color, but no blooms at all. Supposed to be gold and yellow blooms. Has never bloomed. And my little patches of dahlias up here, or dahlias, geraniums up here, looking cute. We just looked at this last week, but everything's still holding up here, doing well. Did do some cutting back in here. I've got some things to plant up here, just have to wait until frost, when all the annuals the hodgepodge that I have growing dies off, and then I'll plant my permanent stuff. Next year I'll have less room for annuals. And I'll have more perennials. There is a lemon jade sedum up here too. This one, I wasn't sure if it would get enough sun in this spot. I might have to move it out a little bit more. It's hard to gauge how much sun, and when it kind of goes in and out of sun throughout the day, like how many hours that is. But the calibrachoa that I planted in the ground is doing great. I'll try that again. These are the watermelon punch super bells. I did plant one little echinacea, an extra one back in there. The bright yellow ones, all the seed heads are from echinacea that are now done blooming, but these bright yellow ones were annual rudbeckia that seeded themselves. This one's really pretty. It's kind of going over now, but I love that dark rim in there. Opening act phlox just keeps blooming. And of course, geraniums. Super bright right now, so you can't see a whole lot of detail. I will dig these up and try and overwinter those in the paper bag or cardboard box method. Once these marigolds are done, I have a new hydrangea to plant in that space. Love Victoria Blue Salvia. It's so low maintenance. It's not worth buying other varieties that look similar. I've tried several, including the Unplugged Blue from Proven Winners. They perform exactly the same. So don't waste your money on fancy ones. Just buy Victoria Blue. I can always find those in 4-packs or 6-packs. I kind of have a bare space here right now. This was a balsam that died back. You can see how chunky when they're mature. How huge these. I wait till fall usually to pull those out because it's a massive root system. It's like a huge trunk of a trunk on those things. So the big ones anyway. And I've never had cabbage do so well here. These are ornamental cabbage that I started from seed. I always planted cabbage back here, but they always stayed real small and puny, and these just got massive. So that's fun. Got foxglove here now going to seed. A few blooms left, but I planted a few more. I'm just slowly expanding this bed over the years, so we don't have, it's like half grass, half wild strawberries. But I planted a few more echinacea. And these are the two. I've got Dalmatian Peach Foxglove, and this one I think was Camelot Purple, possibly. I do have a mature echinacea right there. All right, well that's it. Just another weekly review, not a whole lot of changes, just a few things that I updated, a few new plantings, nothing terribly exciting. So, thank you so much for joining me. Oh, this is the unplugged red salvia too. Just show this briefly. This did much better here in this spot in the ground than it did in a container. Didn't do poorly in a container. It's just not as full of blooms. I think there are other varieties I'd rather grow that are also tend to be cheaper than the Proven Winners brand. So I don't know that I would buy that one again. It was cute though. I like the structure of the blooms. I just wish it was more prolific, like more blooms and more color. That's kind of what Proven Winners is known for. You know, I don't find it worth it to buy a specific brand that tends to cost more for various reasons when there are competitors or things existing in the market that are just as good. But it's fun to try. That's why I like to try different things out when I find them. But yeah, that's my review. Is nice, but you know, don't go out of your way or don't spend extra money for it. So, and these are the little quick fires that I absolutely love. So I'll leave you with that. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a good start to your autumn. And please subscribe.